Studying abroad can be a lot stressful, especially when you go to a new country that doesn't speak your mother's tongue. So today I'm going to share some of the tips that helped me out when I was studying in the United States especially. And yeah, so I'm going to help you out a little bit about how to survive being an international student. To go somewhere new. So my first tip is to ask for help and talk to your teachers or your advisors. I think it's so important when you have, troubles being an international student, maybe having trouble with the language, maybe trouble with the culture. It can happen, and I feel like the best is to talk about it to your teachers so they can help you out and you can together kind of figure out what you could do to make it better. So for myself and my own experience, I had especially one class which I really had a hard time because we had to write essays in like a short amount of time. And I felt like I didn't have enough time because I had to think about the question, but also mostly like look at the language and how to write my sentences and look back if it makes sense. So I not only had to do what others did, like find ideas and write a good essay, but also all the language part because English was not my first language. So I felt like I needed a tiny bit more time to be able to actually write my essay. So I talked about it to my teacher and I just explained to him, I'm an international student, I don't speak English is not my first language. And yeah, it was super nice and he gave me a little bit extra time for my essays. And it was just nice for me because I wasn't as stressed out and I could really more focus and do something better. So yeah, I always recommend to talk about it to your teachers or at least your advisors because the advisors are here to help you out too. And I think it's important that they know. And I mean, most teachers will be really helpful with that, then they will figure out a way. If it's not more time, maybe they will be a little more lenient on your grade or they will help you out in other ways. Number 2, kind of come back to not hesitate to ask questions in class. It's going to be really hard sometimes when it's a new country because people are going to talk about things in class. The teacher is going to be talking about something without explaining it because it makes sense to everyone in the classroom because they are from that country. And then you might not understand it because it makes reference to something that is specific to that country. So you might be like, wait, what are they talking about? I'm not sure. So instead of like just kind of being lost and not understanding what people are talking about, don't hesitate to ask questions either to the teacher or, the people around you. They will be happy to help you out and they might not realize that you don't understand. Like I had so many times in class they were talking about stuff and my teacher sometimes they will see my eyes like being a little bit stressed out like what's going on because I would not really know what they were talking about. But yeah, don't hesitate, don't get lost, don't get stressed out, just ask. And if you really don't feel like you want to ask too many questions in class, at least write them down so you can after class maybe go see your teacher, go see your advisor or go see like one of your fellow friends in the classroom to ask them like, you talked about that, I'm not sure I understood. So yeah, I think it's really important so that you don't get lost, so you don't get behind everyone and that you feel kind of like you're still understanding what the class is about. Number 3 is about friendship. I think it's so important to be able to survive being an international student that you have a good balance between your native people, friends, and your other international student friends. I think it's so important to have kind of like a good amount of both because being friends with native help you out understand the culture better, feeling more like you're being part of that new country, that new life. If you don't really have any native friends and you just have international friends, you're not going to have the full experience, you're not going to learn as much. I feel like, for me, maybe you don't agree, but I feel like it's important to have native friends and you just you have a better full-on experience because if you're being with the international student, you're just not going to live that new life, that new experience. But vice versa, I think it's not good to have just native friends because if you just have native friends, they won't understand your struggles, they won't always understand your stress, the fact that you're missing maybe your homeland, stuff like that. So I think it's important to also know other international students so you can share your struggles, your complaints, your problems and stuff like that. So I think it's good that you try to make both kind of friends. Okay, number 4 is super important and I had troubles with that one, is to make sure you understand the rules of being an international student and you respect them. Because being an international student in a new country, you have a bunch of rules to respect to be able to stay studying abroad in that country. You just have rules. Usually you will know them because your advisors or the person that is in the international office will help you out and will let you know what you can or cannot do. But there was something I completely forgot or didn't think about, is that one semester basically I think I had about like 3 on-campus classes and 3 online classes. And I think the rule is you have to have more on-campus like physical classes than online or something like that. You need to look like back up. But I just remember one semester I dropped one of my on-campus class because I just didn't really like it. And then a few days later, or not even a few days later, but a day later, I got an email saying that I was not respecting the rules of being an international student anymore because I didn't have enough like on-campus class, and if I didn't book one more class, I could get in troubles and they could report me to some like American authorities or whatever. And I was so stressed out. I saw the email and I was like, I'm not trying to do anything bad. Like, I just dropped the class, I didn't like it and I didn't think about it. And I got so stressed out, and then I booked another class like so quickly. I looked at everything, I was like, okay, I'm just taking that one. But it was so stressed out, when they tell you they will report you to the American authorities and you're just like, what? So yeah, just make sure you know the rules and you respect them to not get in troubles, to not get stressed out. It's really important. The last tip, but not the least, is to join clubs or organizations. I think it's so important as an international student to get more involved on campus so you don't feel alone, you don't miss your family as much, you don't feel the whole land as much. And also, being an international student and having the full-on experience and being really happy is to be able to feel involved and part of the community. And the best way to do that is join clubs, organizations on campus, so you meet new people and you get involved and you have activities to do, you have events to go to. And I think it's so important to keep you like really involved. Like I said, I just repeated that 3 times, but being involved is key. It's so important as an international student, as a student like in general, but as an international even more, because the more you're busy and involved, then the less you're going to be homesick. And it's so important because being homesick is not fun and people sometimes just go home because they can't handle it anymore. So get involved. I hope these tips are going to help you if you're an international student that is struggling or you're going to be an international student soon. And if you have any more questions or you have worries or you have problems, don't hesitate to put them in the comments or go on my Instagram and send me DMs. I know some people already ask me questions sometimes, and I do my best to answer it. If I can answer it, if I had the same experience, I will help you out. Especially if you live in the US, because that's where I studied, so I know more about that. But yeah, and I will see you in my next video. À la prochaine!